everybody. Sorry about this complication with the technologies here. When you have a lot of electromagnetic waves running around, it makes this confusion. So now we would like Shafi to give us a little more information about Croatia here through the analysis that we have done, through the recap process that we have done within the analysis of projects that were conducted and concluded within Croatia. So Shafi, please take the floor and try to give us some more information. Please share your screen.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, hello, we can hear you. But let's see your presentation.
Yeah, I'm trying to share my screen, I hope. Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Yes, can you make it full screen? Yeah. Okay, fine.
Can you see now this screen?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Thanks. Good afternoon, everybody. It's my pleasure. I'm Shafi Adam here from the International Research Center, and I'm part of this PANTERA team. So it was really nice to listen to this morning session and the presentation from Ivan as well, how the RNA is really progressing in Croatia. So we PANTERA here did a little bit more deep analysis. We will try to go a little bit deep down into this RNA status and priorities, on especially focusing on these smart grid technologies that we are trying to establish our new activities targeting by 2030 and 2050. So we in PANTERA we are really developed a special process to identify the RNA status and continuously analyze the gap analysis. That's we call this PANTERA recap process. So over the PANTERA team, we have these administrative sessions that deals with the overall work and how really efficiently we can give some good output at national levels. So in the administrative parts, we have these two strong wings. I would say this PANTERA regional list, where we actually divided these countries in different regions where we're working, and we also have this PANTERA working team, 5 working teams working in different areas, so that they can be supporting each other to develop this process, the technical process. So what this technical process is all about, we have identified overall 33 group of 33 technologies and the systems that falls in the 5 categories into these groups to form this smart grid network or the integrated energy systems. So that will be that's the target for the European Commission's Europe by 2050 to achieve. And the this additional body who actually have this functionalities that needs to be achieved by these technologies to develop this network. So we will be working with the business to develop this framework and how we to achieve this at the EU and the national level of these technologies. So how the national grid can be achieved. So we have gone through and we are still working on this country by country that analyzing their real RNA contributions in different projects, through their different projects, the RNA projects, and how much they are progressing in terms of their technologies, these technologies. So we'll be showing here a little bit analysis on this in terms of the Croatia. So how we find that we have find information in different sources this from the 22 projects that we consider here. Most of these projects are the collaborative projects, so that means the multiple partners are involved in these projects, and all these partners have some sort of contribution at different levels. So Croatia is involved in these 22 projects, and whatever the RNA programs have been done through these projects, we assume that all these countries will be benefited. So from that point of view, this is a very high-level analysis also that we try to go into little bit more deeper. So we find that we identify the 5 categories of these groups to develop these smart grid networks, and that's we covered under this integrated grid, customers and networks, storage, generation, digitalization, communication, and data. So we find that 30% of these projects, they're focusing on this integrated grid, that means the Croatia involved, and 32% in the consumer and the market areas, 10% involved in the storage, 20% in the generation sides, and 7% on the digitalizations. So if you try to go a little bit deeper on this thing, that what we see that's in the integrated grid, we have 11 types of technologies, which also have some technologies as well. So you can find more details into our PANTERA website and our deliverables. So we find in these 11 technologies, you see that's how the differences are happening. So it's mostly focusing on these equipment and sensing, the mostly highly focused areas, the technologies that's Croatia involved in the projects. And the second part is the model and the smart metering. So still there are most of these technologies, if you see, that's very less focused so far. So like for example, information systems, APDCs, and these outage management, and also the feeder auto restoration as from the integrated one. Now, when it comes to the customer and market side, we find that's okay, that's good amount of contributions in the distributed flexibility stores and these electricity market areas. But still there is very less importance given in the smart appliances. There's no focus on the lighting. So it's not only for the Croatia, we find some other countries also have similar issues. So some contributions also in the electrical vehicles and the electrical community. So in terms of the storage, we find that most of the projects are focused on the electric storage systems. So there's a good number of gaps in the other cases. Thermal storage and pumped storage have some sort of contribution there. So in terms of the generations, we find that the flexible generations have some importance, and then the wind and solar. So still this hydro and the hydrogen and the hydropower have very less focus. That's been done in the previous projects that already finished. And in the digital evolution side, communications and data, cybersecurity are getting importance, but we find that split between artificial intelligence is almost empty. That also happens for some other countries as well. Now, these are the analyzed outcomes from the previous projects that have been done and where Croatia is part of that project. Now, what's happening for these tiny cities that we already find is by 2022 and 2030, the plan for this national level energy and climate plan, what are the RNA priorities of this? So we have reviewed of this document and find that's okay, especially focusing on these smart grid networks areas. We are not covering all the overall RNA activities. We are especially focusing on these smart grid networks, and that's related to these RNA activities that we identified. I have a good number of now attention in the smart grid areas, and especially development of the new solutions, new technologies, and also renewable sources. And internal energy market management and energy management in the microgrid and that, but it's smart cities as well. So applications in the going to be for and complex energy systems to improve the energy efficiency and also giving importance now here in the lighting. That's a very good point. So, and in the electricity energy security part, focusing on the advanced energy systems. Now we try to match these things with our smart grid technologies. That what are the technologies that we cover? These are the priorities. So you try to see these things there and there, that these are the smart grid technologies that we have identified, and this is the present status that it covers, and this is the priorities have been given. So it shows that a very good number of priorities is covering these areas. That's very good point. So in the consumers, customers and market sections, we still find there are some gaps. So this niche should be taken care of, like the vehicles and the buildings, automations, smart appliances are still less important in the priority areas. When it comes to the storage, we find that the thermal and the power plants, especially for the spectrograph in this area, that is still missing. And the generation size has good contributions and good expectations also in the coming days, especially focus on the hydrogen and sustainable gas. But unfortunately, we can find information about the digitalization plan. So these have been more or less neglected still in the NEC. So that's a little bit deeper into the system point of view and the technology point of view how much they're progressing. So some other key factors that we find that there are some issues in general, that all these things are very high level, that is no specific goal for 2050 and this no specific regional operations have been found in the NECBs and no concrete objectives are objectives per year. So these are some other issues that needs to be taken care of, and we are expecting there's no current also definitions, rules and regulations in the energy community and environment citizens. So there is no defined financing mechanisms, especially for the public and private activities. So these are the things we find. I hope in the panel discussions we have more discussion on these issues and we learn more about. So there are some very simple points that accelerating this one should take care, and we're expecting some discussions in the panel discussions as well, that how really Croatia can improve their activities in the coming days, especially the regional findings will be helping their future iron activities. And PANTERA is definitely a very good source of collaborations to find the collaborations in the regional and the member states. And the best practices is there from PANTERA that will be supporting the best practice examples. And finally, I've seen this area is here to support all of us. So that's all from my side in a very short time. So I'll expect in the panel discussion we'll have more discussions. For any more discussion or findings from the recaps and the analysis, so please feel free to contact me. So that's all from my side.
Thank you very much, Shafi, for these interesting facts about Croatia. We definitely will pick them up in the discussion. So please.
Yeah, we will continue now with the representative of the host country. It's Zorana Barašić. She's the national contact point for Croatia. National contact point here to be considered to cool, not just for the cluster 5 of the Horizon Europe. Could you please, Zorana, tell us what are the R&D priorities of Croatia, and what are the measures to boost this, these priorities in activities, action priority areas? What, in your opinion, are the most important obstacle bottlenecks that Croatia is facing in improving participation in the funding schemes? And are there any measures already in place to solve those? Maybe also in collaborations with local authorities and industry. So please, Zorana, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Marek. Thank you for inviting me. I would now like to share the screen. I have a very short presentation from my phone. I don't know why. Can you see it? I'm sorry, can you see it?
Not yet.
Not yet? Let me just see what's the problem.
It's good that we are not in IT technologies. Here.
Just tell me when you can see it.
No, we can see it.
You can see it?
Yes.
Perfect. So, once again, thank you for inviting me. I'm Zorana Barašić from the Ministry of Science and Education of Croatia. I'm Senior Expert Advisor within the Directorate for Science and Technology, and I'm also currently have the role of NCP Coordinator for Horizon So you can already guess that from my side, I'm going to give you an overview, primarily on the priorities in the previous period, priorities that have shown extreme interest from our beneficiaries, from our research community. This will primarily be through the results. I'm going to show you results on Horizon 2020, and then I'm going to show you results in the area of energy. This is something that Ms. Mata has already touched upon, so I'm going to go a bit deeper, and I'm also going to show you regional aspect. And at the very end, I'm going to give you an insight on the state of play at the moment in terms of defining priorities, especially R&I, and I'm going to also look back on the issues and obstacles that our beneficiaries and our research community primarily have. Oh, I don't know why it's not moving. Can you see the next one? I don't know how I cannot move the slide.
We could just see the first slide.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not moving.
Traffic errors.
Yeah. So first off, as you know, Horizon 2020 was the biggest research innovation program on the side of the Union, one of the biggest in the world. And I'm going to show you, on the screen you can see basic statistics at this point. These are all data, latest data, which has been distributed by the Commission. So you can see that there is our success rate has been consistently in rise and increasing. Just to put it in perspective, in 2016, so in the first 3 years of the implementation of the program, we had a success rate of 11%, and now we are 13.86% in terms of the success rate, which is also above the EU average, which, to be told, it does keep decreasing in the last months with the finishing of the last goals of the Horizon 2020, but still. Number of projects, so basically we have 566 projects, which makes up 1.75% of the total number of projects that have been agreed by the Commission, and there are also 778 participation in projects. In total, this means that EU contribution from Croatian participants is almost 130 million euros, which sums up to 0.21% of the total budget of Horizon Europe. Again, I have issues with moving the slides for some reason. When we come to energy, energy is our most successful actual area within the whole Horizon, not only in terms of the number of projects, but also in terms of the EU contribution. As you can see, we're above, and we think that these are not final numbers. There are some projects are still in the process of getting through the grant agreement with the Commission, but at this moment we have passed 22.5 million euros specifically in the area of energy. More specifically, you can see there that we had over 552 submissions that underwent evaluation, which is 1/8 of the total number of evaluations within the Horizon, within the Horizon 2020, and you can see that the success rate is really high, so it's 80%. This, as I mentioned before, resulted in 113 projects, at least one Croatian participant in this area. Unfortunately, the balance between all three types of actions financed through Horizon 2020 is skewed towards coordination and support activities. However, if you can see it on the slide, when it comes to the finance part of the EU contribution, we have a pretty leveled approach and statistics when it comes to the financial part of the projects and in terms of the types of the action. When it comes to collaborative links, unfortunately, there is not a strong regional perspective overall. So basically, the strongest collaborative links are with Spain, Greece, France, Belgium, and Italy. Right? And on the next slide, you can see it's also something that Mr. Mata already mentioned, which you can see most successful organizations. But you can also see that there is some discrepancy in terms of the average amount and the average contribution that they tend to pull the program. So, for example, I found it really interesting that we have an initiative which has this beneficiary with only one project, but one project that had which pulled 1,200,000 euros through this period, through this area of Horizon 2020. Following the top there is also Faculty of Electrical Engineering and Computing, which also has strong pool of contribution from the program. But also most successful as you can see, are an energy institute by Croatia, and they are Northwest Croatian Regional Energy Agency. In terms of the, you're going to see in terms of the only of the regional perspective, the Energy Institute by Croatia and are also basically one of the strongest actors in the regional perspective. Here you can see the analysis of collaboration with Austria, Hungary, Italy, and Slovenia. And all of these countries, primarily it's Energy Institute by Croatia and actually Ministry of Economy and Sustainable Development that has the strongest links and is involved these countries most intensely. You can also see that we have, similarly to Croatia's Croatian type projects, you can also see that in terms of collaboration, we also have the mostly coordinated and supportive actions, primarily in these in terms of the regional cooperation. However, again, we have a strong balance between the CSA and innovative activities when it comes to the EU contribution pools from these collaborations. Strongest within this kind of regional perspective are the collaboration projects with Austria and Italy. But it's worth mentioning, since I mentioned earlier, that the more stronger collaborative links are with Spain, France, Belgium, and Italy. You can see in this with Italy, but in general, most of these collaborative projects you can see on your screen numbers tend to be part of a much bigger consortia. We on average even 30 or more partners within the project. So looking further, now we have a Horizon Europe. As we know, we're just in starting point of it, with first goal only now closing. And you can see energies again, really important part of the program, primarily the climate energy mobility cluster, with over 13 million euros. So from national support, from our side, the ministry is primarily the main designated body in terms of providing support to participation and cooperation related to Horizon Europe. So as you can see on the screen, a couple of our main roles, and you can also see the supporting institutions. The Hungary creations from mobility programs, University Computing Center, and Ministry of the Interior are most important institutions when it comes to national supports. So providing support to our beneficiaries and to our research and private sector when preparing the project proposals, but also raising visibility. This is something that, well, I think this is the point, and good point of my presentation to give you an overview, which more or less tends to overlap with the one that might have, especially when it comes to the experience and the obstacles that our beneficiaries in our research community tend to have. Well, most of them actually tend to list a lot of support from their own institution, primarily in terms of administration and financial support. So a lot of our beneficiaries tend to note that there is a lack of knowledge and lack of experience when it comes to handling project implementation, primarily through all the framework program, in this case Horizon 2020, but now Horizon Europe, which also puts them in a bad spot in terms of their capabilities, primarily time-wise, in handling different parts of project implementation. So not only are they have to be focused on the research innovation part of the project, but they also have to keep note and handle the most technical implementation of the project. Then further, there's also a note of the lack of the appreciation and acknowledgement of the importance that these projects have in terms of the academic advancement of these project managers. So this is also, so we also see it as a lack of incentive for them to actually participate. Then we also have, there's also a lack of, as time goes, and we have really relevant topic of synergies, there's also a lack of knowledge in terms of the rules and procedures that come with the implementation of the projects from different sources of financing. Then on the overall, from the overall side, they also tend to note the lack of national financing and self-financing or co-financing from different, so from other institutions. It's kind of primarily from the fact that our main foundation for financing is actually our Croatian Science Foundation, and this is currently the main holder of financing for science, and also there is quite a different logic in terms of implementation and reporting and monitoring when it comes to framework programs and in general programs that are centralized in union level compared to those by the foundation and other different national systems and bodies that finance R&I activities. When it comes to the prioritization of R&I activities, we live in a peculiar time, so it's really hard at this point, and so it's mentioned just in previous presentation, it's hard to, at this point, to define the activities and the priorities that we have as we're in the midst of programming process on a general level.
Yes. Interrupting you. Are you making a presentation because you still have the old?
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. I'm aware. It's fine.
Oh, okay. Sorry for that. Okay, yeah. Thank you. Sorry.
It's my final slide.
Sorry, for thinking that it was a mistake.
I just wanted to say on a national level, so currently we have a resilience, recovery and resilience plan, which has been adopted, which has a really strong component to R&I sector. It's primarily focused on empowering capacities on a national level. So it covers a really wide area of activities, from reducing the fragmentation of public research institutions, and then putting more focus on result-oriented research and innovation funding, and finally, also there's a strong focus on career progression. We should cover previously mentioned obstacles that our research tends to have in terms of recognizing the importance that Horizon or in general union programs have for career and for development of skills of our researchers. In terms of in general, you can only give a general view in terms of the R&I area that are currently that we are focused on. So these are not surprising STEM area and ICT. And when it comes to this also is a point that is made in national development strategy, which also has a really which has a really ambitious goal of setting 3% in terms of the R&D investment on a national level by 2030. So these two are the main documents at this point that are close to finishing or already are. In terms of the program, we have the Smart Specialization Strategy, which is in preparation, so I cannot give you more on that. And of course, our operational programs, which are also in preparation, so more info is to be expected hopefully soon. In terms of our ministry, we have started preparing measures that are related to primarily to Horizon Europe and other new programs such as state program and vertical. So basically, we have a set of continuous goal. This measure is now active since May this year. So we have a continuous goal for requests for financial support on our side. So we are giving primarily financial support for preparing project proposals for Horizon Europe, and for also updating those project proposals that were deemed excellent but have not managed to gain funding from the program itself. This is one set of incentives that we aim at improving. They are also contribution from Horizon 2020 period. And on the side, in terms of more defining, more specific research areas that are to be defined and worked on, we have set up an intersectoral group, which is made up of different representatives from different industries and relevant bodies in our system, and they are to provide support and collaboration at national level. But we are also in the process of setting up reference rules within our national system for primarily for second pillar of Horizon Europe for different clusters, and they will also provide expert support in defining and providing support to our program committee members and other representatives from the side of Croatia to the Union when defining further steps in terms of development of the program itself. As you know, we are only the strategic plan of Horizon Europe is only until 2024. We are soon entering the new period of in period of preparation of the next one, so for the end of the programming period. But we are also currently actively working on preparation of work programs define much more tighter topics that are to be financed through the program. This is something that we are continuing to plan to work on.
Thank you.
So, thank you. Thank you for your attention. Sorry for being tag long. If you have any questions, do let me know. You can see contact. The first mail is our official mail for providing support in terms of the Alter Horizon Europe program, and below you can see my email within the ministry. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And for this, yeah, and if we can have this presentation also, then to send those to the participants, I think it's fine for you. Zorana?
Yes, I didn't hear you, sorry.
Could you share this presentation with us eventually?
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you very much. Now we continue with the two other speakers, but Robin and Celos will do the honor.
Yeah, thank you very much for this all information we have heard for Croatia. And now we would like Damian Peric, okay, who is coming from the DSO of Croatia and coming from the industry, something that we would like to hear opinion and views. And because DSOs are considered to be facilitators in this energy transition process, and how the DSO of Croatia is approaching this need for change, the evolution into new technologies, seamlessly integrating the emerging technologies like storage, vehicle to grid, operational needs, and in general flexibility on demand side in achieving this optimal transition. Can we hear your views on this, Damir?
Hello. Thank you for your introduction. My name is Damir Peric. I work in DSO in power system control sector. And just for short introduction, I would like to come closer our firm if somebody hasn't heard about us. So DSO is the only distribution system operator in the Republic of Croatia, and we are fully owned by the state. We are conceived within 6 sectors at the company's headquarters, and we are functionally competent over 21 distribution areas throughout the country. So here you go. This I will give a few informations, few answers to come closer to you. Maybe why do we have some problems, challenges? Why are there little projects or that? So basically, everything comes down to the simple task we have. That is to keep the balance in the system, to find a way to balance supply and demand. And of course, our daily task today that presents a bigger challenge. It becomes increasingly complicated. Of course, that challenge is not unsolvable. It is only a number of possible variables in this equation has increased. So we have come to the time where there is no longer a passive load that reconciles the DSO, but DSO in turn we must ensure balance both in the whole system as a whole and in each fragment of that system along the depth of the network. We now have users who change their status from passive to active, who can, potentially speaking, introduce an imbalance in the system with their behavior that can be very different in different places in a system. Since we are a company that is regulated by the state, idea of DSO being a facilitator is very limited. If there is a need for change, it's first necessary to create a legal framework that would allow that change, that will allow a modification of our activity. Just for example, ancillary services to the distribution system is something that is open as an option, but until the laws and prices are enacted, they cannot be used at this time. Only thing that we can do practically is try something new through pilot projects. So in addition to that, everything that DSO undertakes directly affects every citizen, every business entity in Croatia. So we are obliged to use certified technical equipment, certified technical solutions, and procedures. So to breach a possible barrier, and in order to achieve goals towards low carbon society, DSO is open to participate in pilot projects. And towards that, we finance many studies. We cooperate intensively with local academia, like Faculty of Electrical Engineering and Computing and Hrvoje Božar. And when we talk about contribution from HEP DSO to R&I, well, from my experience, I can say that when the challenge that requires research and innovation arise for the first time, we will hire local academia to create studies or elaborates in which we participate intensively, so that the final product is custom made according to our needs. Until we are staffed to do that on our own, academia continues with creating elaborates for numeric users. For example, Faculty of Electrical Engineering and Computing was for a long time making first elaborations of optimal technical solutions for renewables. Then later, after some time, second step would be that DSO would take over the preparation of elaborates, or we would through regulations prescribe that elaborates are prepared by a conductor hired by a great user, which can again be academia. And the last step is to anticipate new challenges, consider options for solving them, And talking about staff, data, equipment, we consider new ways to use existing resources, how to upgrade them using existing methods. So we introduce new technologies through mentioned pilot projects and evaluation of results. And finally, we make decisions based on these results in the way of scope of implementation. How will we be implemented, when and where? Since we are a utility whose main task is not research and innovation, we are not fully staffed to get into that area. So from scientific point of view, we expect from our academia to have access to those data, to platforms, and to use that knowledge for their research when we hire them. So then that knowledge will be transferred to us, and we are still learning about all that. So, as mentioned before, we will participate in pilot project as well as provide part of the distribution network for the purpose of project implementation and processing the results. So, in order to make additional contribution, what we can from our side, we have, for example, concluded a research partnership with the Faculty of Electrical Engineering and Computing, through which a new modern laboratory is being built, and which will ultimately be a mutual benefit to both parties. Also to us to learn and to accept that knowledge and to resolve challenges we have. So from our point of view, we are certainly more than interested in strengthening the academia that deals with research, and which will ultimately, we expect, of course, result in even greater numbers of studies, solution applicable to the challenges in the distribution network. And so we are viewed as users of the obtained custom-made solutions according to our needs. So from the projects, yes, we have seen we don't have many contribution in H2020, Horizon 2020 project, but there are some other projects that we participate, mostly with a smaller scope. And like I said, since we are very strictly, let's say, regulated by the state, since we cannot facilitate on our own, here we are very close. So those pilot projects are mostly smaller ones, and we have to be sure that the result will be absolutely good. And we heard this morning from Mr. Tomislav Zabu there, that is why we are maybe scared to go in some project or to try something, because like I said, we are obliged to have the same treatment for every citizen, and we cannot try something and then find out that that wasn't a very good solution. We have to go to solutions that are that we can say they will be good.
Okay, Damir, thank you very much for that. I think we have a bit of time to discuss it a bit later on, and we will give also to Tomislav a few more words to say on that. But we have another Tomislav now, and Novosel. And we have you on board, and you are serving the Northwest Croatian Regional Energy Agency, and we would like to hear from you areas which need specific attention through the National Energy and Climate Plan, which is not adequately covered or addressed, in your opinion, that call for stronger participation in research and innovation activities in selected fields that are within the priority areas of the country. So can you please give us a few words on that? Do you have a presentation on that?
No, I think I'll just speak. It'll be easier and quicker that way.
Please
so,
go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak here. Just before I begin answering your question, just a note, before I started working at EGEA, I actually worked at the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering and Naval Architecture for several years as a research assistant, working mostly on Horizon projects or EU projects in general. And as you've seen in the charts that were presented, both institutions are quite high when it comes to energy projects in the area of horizons. So for the better part of my career, I thought that Croatia was actually doing quite good when it comes to horizons, and I didn't know that the situation was this bad. But anyway, when it comes to the various capacities of institutions within Croatia to participate in RNIs and the links with the NCPs, I think that one of the key issues that we actually have is the capacity from the problem owners to actually participate in such activities and to actually define the tools and the plans that they need to successfully participate here. What do I mean by this? In order to actually achieve the goals set in the NCP, we basically need to implement bottom-up actions, meaning that cities, regions, and so on actually need to properly implement that. Without this, we probably won't have a lot of implementation of research activities on the ground. And to do this effectively, cities need more capacity when it comes to understanding their energy and climate needs, as well as they need tools and, again, capacities to properly plan or develop and implement integrated and holistic plans. When I say integrated and holistic plans, I mean proper integrated energy, climate, mobility plans that don't just consist of voluntary measures, but actually mandatory and properly integrated within spatial planning and within everything else that the city does. Doing this would allow cities and regions to develop dedicated climate and energy budgets, which could then help the participation of RNI industry and universities in research projects, because they would actually have access to more potential pilots to implement. And I think this is one of the key causes of the low participation rate of Croatian institutions in RNI activities. I mean, even when you look at the rates of, when you look at the projects that Croatian partners participate in, they're mostly CSAs, and that has also been my experience through my career. Most of the projects I have worked on have been CSAs. So in order to change that, to actually drive and facilitate our participation, we do need more projects, and I'm very happy that we've heard, for example, from Adami that it is an option in some cases, even though it's not as easy as possibly in Germany. So most of the issues that we have here are, of course, financial. However, national strategies can help alleviate this to some point by mandating and helping our regional and local authorities to actually develop mandatory plans, which will then be directly linked to the budgets. On the other hand, there's also issues of the potential solution providers not being fully aware of what the issues are, and them not being able to provide proper solutions that the problem owners actually need. So there's also a huge lag in communication. I'm not exactly sure if that can be tackled through such national documents, but certain mechanisms such as the development of business incubators, entrepreneurial incubator centers of excellence, and so on absolutely can, especially when they are done in cooperation with local and regional governments who will know the problems on the ground. So in my personal opinion, the only way forward here is to properly implement horizontally and vertically integrated planning throughout all activities on all government levels, which would then result in dedicated climate and energy budgets, which would help facilitate the participation of R&I industry in the European community more thoroughly. Since we are running out of time, I think I should end it here and leave some time for questions. If there's something specific you want to know, feel free to ask.
Yeah, we would like to hear, if you have followed a bit the presentations about the IRI platform, we would like to hear your reaction to what we are trying to do through IRI.
Yeah, so unfortunately I haven't been able to follow that presentation since I had meetings in the morning. I have seen it before, and I think that the general idea is good. Any way to facilitate communication between research entities across Europe is absolutely welcome, because that is sorely missing. Again, from my experience working on a variety of horizons, usually you start working with a group of partners and you stick with them if they're successful. So expanding the scope and meeting more people in the field working in the same areas as you are is absolutely beneficial. The biggest issue I have with it is actually its visibility and its integration within other processes on a European level. So I think the general idea is good. The services that it can provide are quite helpful. However, I think it is probably not well enough known, and events such as the one we're at right now is a good starting point to change that. So proper integration of that platform with other processes is probably the way to go, in my opinion.
Okay, that's good to hear, and we will try and make sure that we do pass the word round and we push and make everybody know about IRI and the benefits that they can find from that. Now,
I had the same comment this morning about it.
Yeah,
Just properly demonstrate this and show to everybody that this is a platform and does this. If you have a high visibility, then people do not have a doubt which platform to go to, because there's quite a few of them offering some things, and if you demonstrate in a clear way that you offer, let's say, a full package or a one-stop shop, is that the keyword?
One-stop shop.
Then definitely the platform will catch up and gain the interactive perspective that you're trying to reach.
Okay, good. That's good. And so now, in order to help us a bit with the discussion, we have 3 questions. Mohammed, are you ready for the first one?
Yes.
So
we could use the slide. I will be also sharing my screen so we could see it live. And also in this, we have also one question coming from Roberto.
Okay.
So maybe after the questionnaires that we are going to ask to the process, maybe we could get back to this question and answer it before we end the session.
Okay, fine, yeah. So, of course, we encourage everybody to react to this question coming up. Get into your Slido and try to give us an answer on it, okay?
So the first question, what barriers do you see is being actively involved in R&I in your countries? So please select the most 3 out of the proposed list.
Three. So choose 3.
I also reshared the slide link In case anyone was looking for it, it's available now on the chat.
No, before that, let's have some comments. We would like to just hear from our guests their reaction to these answers that we are receiving, if they consider them as representative of what are the problems in Croatia.
Maybe this can be a question to Zoran. As you know, to answer to the low country budget. So does this answer also reflect the situation in Croatia, and up to which extent?
I guess it depends on who you ask, but I would definitely say that the very fact that it has been that research and development has been prioritized in recovery and resilience plans and national development strategy has shown that there is a clear focus on upping the game in this part. So basically, this is why we have a setup of 3% for GDP investment in R&I. By 2030, and hopefully it will be reached. But yeah, in terms of our communication with our research community and our innovation community, there's definitely always a point that is made.
Yeah.
But I think that in terms of that, I think that it's, I would say that it's always the answer, or at least one of the answers when it comes to those countries with a lower or more moderate investment in R&I.
So any other reaction from participants?
If I may add, just this one, universities do not relate their R&I work to the needs of the local industry. I was thinking in a way that for making new engineers that will be more adequate to challenges in the distribution network. Although changes in historical heritage are slowly taking place, we still have a significant share of research papers and even courses at universities that are more related to the transmission network and that are not fully applicable to the distribution network conditions and challenges we face there. So I think that this should be a call to all academia that we have entered an era of energy transition. And it is important to understand that now the distribution network is becoming a point of interest and challenges on the road to a low carbon society.
Okay, can we have the other two questions, Mohammed, because people are leaving in order to get their responses, and then we can comment on all three. Please go to the second one.
So, it's kind of abstracted. Okay, just one moment. So, the next question is about what's the difficulties that you find that you face in finding data and information?
How does it work? We move it up and down?
Sorry. Prioritize the main difficulties. Yeah, just put the first, second, third. Yeah, prioritize the most important first.
3.
It's not moving.
It's not moving.
Okay, let's go to the
We
third
get
question.
only 6 response, but observers, yes, moving a little bit. Maybe we could start the discussion, so just to make sure we have enough time to discuss the last question and also to answer the question that came from the audience.
Yeah, I think Mohammed put the third question. I think it's not moving now, and then we will start discussing.
So, third question about prioritization, the challenges that are an IA community face when trying to find matching and trying to find partners to build a more successful consortium for R&I activity. So, what's the main challenges that you face when you are trying to build a consortium and try to find the right partners for that? And also, in case there is any other challenges, please use, you will find open text that you could use to provide further information about what other challenges that you think that you are facing to create a good consortium. Okay, Benzos, do you want to discuss the results?
Yeah.
Should I read the previous question first?
Yeah. Go to the first one and to complete that discussion, and then we'll come to the second and third. Thank you very much all for responding. That's interesting results we see here. I think you wanted to respond to this first question before.
Yeah, there was a interesting comment which got 0%. So universities don't equally value local achievements versus international. So you can interpret this in two ways. The way I interpret it is they do value it equally. So on a number of occasions, R&I does not focus on international collaborations or international projects or getting into horizons, because the value of having a very complex and very demanding project like Horizon 2020 is basically on the same level as a smaller local project for their for everything that they need to do in their academic career to get recognized and so on and so on. So I think in this call there's quite a few people from Croatia that have participated in a number of Horizon projects.
collaborating with university as well. I think I saw someone from Croatia or someone connected to the call as well, so they have something like 8 horizons lately. But what we are looking here is to involve more stakeholders. I think Zorana has shown that graph where you see that 90% of the projects is within, let's say, 10 or 11 institutions. To have Croatia participate in much more Horizon 2020 projects, you want to have this list of 50 partners constantly going into Horizon 2020 and having more than 5 or more than 10 projects running, which is not the case now. And I think they are usually just focused on solving a local problem, or everyday operational problem, not looking into planning or strategic perspective of a long term, where they could use the European funds to basically do something which just relying on the local funds or local government or strategies which are, as Tomislav nicely mentioned, are not horizontally and vertically integrated on all levels, are actually preventing them to do this.
I think in your statement, the way I think that also it can be interpreted, this first bullet, I mean, the universities do not relate the research and innovation work to the needs of the local industry in the sense that they are more academic rather than practically orientated in addressing the local problems. And I think here is a general problem with academia. And that's, I think, where it's targeting more this question.
I think this is more like a conceptual question where you, universities basically need to sit on several chairs.
Yes.
And they need to do it doing it, showing that they can do research which is needed by the local industry, do some research which is publishable, because this is again appreciated in the evaluation of the Horizon goals. They need to align the teachings and the education with the needs of the industry, and again provide a theoretical background. And very often this is quite a challenge.
Yeah.
And I mean, everybody fails, or they do slightly better, but in general, there's a lot of work to be done in that area.
It is a challenge to keep the balance.
Yes,
that's correct, and that's the problem. And I think sometimes the tendency is to go where academia credentials are given more than.
I mean, you can go both ways. I mean, when the local industry supports that you do R&I work that is needed by them, then you definitely are prone to focus more on that.
Yeah,
and when you have a support, I think Damir nicely emphasized that they are collaborating with us on the lab infrastructure. When they do this, so when the initiative started, our focus shifted towards actually creating all the fundamentals that's needed for them to use the lab, for the lab to be prepared also for a contract to integrate their solution. So we are moving towards industry needs.
Yeah, I think Damir's reaction into that, it was excellent. I mean, in the sense that they correctly address their future aspirations to the local academia. I think that's very good.
Yeah.
And I think this is what we would like to see. I mean, we don't expect the DSO to do the research, but we expect the DSO to have the data required, the interest to address issues to the local academia, and aiming and rely and be responsive to what they tell him to cooperate to solve problems. I mean, that's the good approach.
Yeah.
So any other reaction to this question, or shall we move further down?
We should, because
if you don't mind, I feel a bit pointed out by Tomislav. If you don't mind a comment here.
Yeah, please.
So this is Herbert from Croatia speaking. So yes, that's correct. We have now run 8 Horizon projects running, and that's because we completed the 2 before. So we have all together 10 of those. We have
basically aligns the Horizon effort with our portfolio of products, and we also have another chair that we sit on. In many of those projects, the most successful proposals are the ones that include the local community, the local infrastructure, so we can have a local pilot as well and involve other partners. And in many cases, we have also been very ahead of building the local capacity. That's what we think is a part of our role there as well. This is not purely altruistic. If we develop a solution, then later on, it's very good to have someone who will be a consumer of that solution. So that to me seems a logical path of going to. But then there are many angles to look at this. So it's the green angle that Tomislav has nicely put rounded out, and this is our industry. From the industry point of view, the problem is basically the same. The solution is the same: to build a capacity and involve more local partners.
Okay, thank you very much all. We are pushed to finish now because the room is wanted by other parties. So please, can we respond to the open question in a written way, because we have to go? And then the responses that we have received to question, the second and the third question, we can probably get some written response from you. Okay? Because all these answers, we can send them to you and you can get some written response. All right?
That's perfect.
Very good. And thank you very much. I have to do some summary here, but we have to finish. And so thank you very much all for connecting, staying with us. I think it was very important for you to be with us in the morning and now in the afternoon. We still have 21 connected, which is excellent. It's very good. And I think we have touched on a lot of issues of Croatia, and I'm very happy about it because we have touched on real hot issues that Croatia is facing. And I think in that respect, we have done well. And thank you very much for being with us. And we will communicate with you written-wise in order to complete the process. Thank you very much. Yeah,
thank you, Venizelos. Also on behalf of Supera and their community, thank you for participation. It was interesting to hear what is happening, well, mostly in the smart grids community now. But can you just think about if you open the Pandora box and we start to interlink the technologies and system aspects and cross-sector issues, because the Commission asked for disallowing all the processes. So what then? I think that this is just the point of the iceberg, and looking forward to new workshops here in Croatia, but also as Supera in other European federal countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.